Welcome back, everyone. For those new to the channel, welcome. I'm DarkHour717, and this is the weekly news and review of the Star Citizen universe for the week ending the 16th of July 2022. This week, we've seen quite a bit go on for sure, and from the Foundation Festival to the Free Fly and the PTU, we'll go through it all. Before we get started though, if you enjoyed these updates, do me a favor and hit that like and subscribe button. It really helps me out in getting these videos out to more people, and I would greatly appreciate it. Also, stick around to the end of the video to see how you can get yourself entered in for a chance to win an Origin 325A. Of course, we still see patch 3.17.1 running through the live servers as multiple variations of patch 3.17.2 have been released. The PTU itself is now in Wave 2 status for testing, and that is very understandable as there have been several playability issues occurring in this patch. The issues, of course, had started at the end of last week, but we saw a patch come out on July 12th that really was a turning point toward the worst of the gameplay. Though the patch notes really listed a moderate number of bug fixes and a number of technical fixes, the patch released to a slew of problems with crashes to desktops and 30Ks. Though it was bad, the problems had yet to reach the worst conditions possible. This release on Tuesday also included a playthrough of Siege of Orison, and while we did try to participate, the rate of 30Ks and crashes made it near impossible to actually reach the event, and when we finally actually did reach it, they shut down Siege of Orison to verify that it was not related to the crashing issues. What they did find out was that the new dynamic event was not the cause, which this is no surprise as the crashes had really started ramping up the Sunday before. Wednesday, they did work on another new release for the PTU with another attempt at a run of Siege of Orison. This patch was implemented, and again the bad performance continued, with a never-ending string of crashes to desktop taking out the entire party each time. The event was actually a little bit more playable due to a lesser amount of actual 30Ks, but still unenjoyable due to all of the crashes to desktop. Midway through the event though, Wikipedia was in the testing chat stating that they were going to make some back-end adjustments to try and address the issues. After about 30 to 45 minutes, he announced the changes had been made, and overall it did really make a difference with the crashes. Though unfortunately it was also the end of the 4-hour test run of Siege of Orison, and once again we were unable to get through a full playthrough. Having played the PTU the next couple nights, the fix they implemented does seem to have held and performance has improved. Though unaware of exactly what changes were made, it is a welcome improvement for the PTU. This Sunday, we will also be seeing an additional test of Siege of Orison at 11 a.m. Eastern Time, so time will tell if this will be our first successful playthrough of the new event. There is also a test playthrough of Jumptown Saturday, though that will be completed before the video is released. In all, PTU 3.17.2 has really been riddled with a number of problems, and the fact that we are seeing nearly daily updates and new releases is actually comforting in the fact that CIG is working diligently to really get the patch where it needs to be before being open to all backers. In looking through Spectrum, there are some backers concerned on what this will mean for the lengthy testing and development of patch 3.18 and whether this will push that out even further. Honestly, I'm not overly concerned about that. The reason is the fact that this patch 3.17.2 needs to carry us through till the release of 3.18, which we know is going to require extended testing. That longer amount of time really needs to be carried by this patch, and if they rush to get 3.17.2 out to get moving on 3.18, that would be a total mistake. Leaving backers with a broken and non-playable environment would only hurt them more in the long run than a week or two delay on 3.18. So making sure that this patch is in its utmost best shape benefits them as well as all the backers. Also, with the time that it will take to complete patch 3.18, they will have an extended amount of time to make up any delays they incur now. To be honest, CIG already has people working on 3.18 as we speak as well, so the truth is the work on 3.18 is already in progress. We will keep checking out all the testing on the upcoming PTU patches, and really the course of this last week has really seemed to have taken a turn for the better. If this continues to be the case, I'm hoping we'll see an all-backer PTU release midweek. We'll keep our fingers crossed and our eyes on it. Other patch 3.17.2 news came out this week with the Patch Watch, and this is available on the RSI site, and I will include a link in the description. This highlighted the occurrences at the location called the Snake Pit. This is a naturally occurring area near Rayari McGrath on Clio that made an almost perfect race course. Now, racing in general is not a major gameplay loop in the verse as of yet, with the raceway at Grim Hex being incomplete, and the Daymar Rally being the premier race series in Star Citizen. The Snake Pit was not designed to be a raceway. But the creativity of the community actually found this area and discovered it really had a defined path that could be followed to provide for a fun and exciting course. The post highlights how developers in the Montreal studio had used streams and the community to see what was going on, and they actually found XGR, or Extreme G Racing. Two racers from the group, Osashes and Black Maze, helped design a thrilling course through this natural landscape featured near McGrath. The studio snuck into the group's Discord and actually began attending the races being held by this group. The Snake Pit is the most polished track that the Montreal studio has worked on, but there is a total of 4 that they've worked to improve to highlight this popular activity. They worked with Black Maze and XGR to utilize what they were doing to improve the Snake Pit area without breaking or altering what they were doing. They added structures, geometry, and lighting so that the turns were more noticeable and less time would be needed learning the course and more time racing could be spent. What we received for their work together was an amazing course that is challenging and fun. We've personally used this for extra small ships and hover bikes, and it's an absolute blast. This is going to be one of the many areas such as this that we'll see in the future. Though no quantum beacon is available to the site, it honestly is easy to find. All you have to do is quantum into Rayari McGrath and you can see it as soon as you come out of quantum. No searching is needed at all. I recommend anyone with an interest in racing check this out. And honestly, my appreciation to not only the Montreal studio, but XGR, Black Maze, and Osashes for sharing this location with everyone. With the weekly update email from CIG this week, we see that the Foundation Festival discounted starter packs and the Drake Dragonfly referral bonus are going to continue through the weekend and end on the 18th of July. The guide system bonuses and paint availability will continue through the 25th, so keep plugging away on those guides if you're looking to get the available paints from the festival. Also remember that not just the guide, but the citizen being guided will both receive the paint after successful completion. It does seem though that the paints are more popular bonuses than the hats that can be earned. In regard to the festival, we also saw the release of the organization spotlight, which brings 40 different orgs to the forefront in a full-page sliding display that has orgs specializing in industrial fields, combat, piracy, and all areas of Star Citizen. It's exciting to see that Amrock's Fang also was included in this, and this is really a great way for new players to see and find a variety of different orgs to consider in all the different parts of the verse. As mentioned last week, the Squadron 42 monthly report was released to the RSI website containing all the information on what was worked on over the month of June in Squadron 42. And as a reminder, we still have the live conclusion of Battle of the Bricks coming on July 22nd with Star Citizen team taking on EVE Online in challenges and a head-to-head competition to build each other's community Lego build submission, all to benefit the Children's Miracle Network hospitals. The Star Citizen team will need to build the Prima from the EVE Online community, and the EVE Online team is going to need to build a Banu Merchantman. The competition will be on Twitch, so check that out and help support a very worthy cause. In regards to charity causes, I want to take a moment to say how appreciative I am, as well as just blown away by the Star Citizen community and the viewers of the stream and channel. On the 10th of July, we held our very first charity stream to benefit StackUp.org. 501c3 charity that works to benefit veterans living with mental health issues. The team at StackUp.org has several programs that benefit active duty and veterans alike, not only of the United States, but also the allied nations such as UK, Australia, Canada, and even New Zealand. With the many programs that they have to benefit those in need, they are an amazing group. Due to the generosity of our community, I am grateful and proud to say we raised $1,035 for their efforts to help. My thanks go out to everyone in the community that made it possible for us to do this, and we will have future events in coordination with StackUp.org, so keep an eye out for that. I'll include a link to their website for anyone that wants to learn more about this amazing organization. As for our regular sources for news, of course, Monday we saw the usual This Week in Star Citizen. Then on Tuesday we saw the lore post show up with the portfolio about the Ninetales. This spotlights the history of the Ninetales gang going through the time of their first attack in an effort to free Albert Sinkhole Holden while being transported across the system to their establishment in Stanton, turning Grim Hex into their base of operations. The lore post gives a look at the gang and their beginnings. A link will be in the description if you're interested in checking this out. Of course, there was no roadmap roundup this week, and Inside Star Citizen is still on break, which brings us to Friday. Of course, Friday we saw a new Star Citizen Live, and this was an All About 317.2 episode with Todd Pappy as a guest. Of course, we learned Todd is going to be moving over to the UK to be Jared's neighbor soon, and then after that, we actually get into the topic at hand. We start out by learning that the planetary nav mesh will allow for NPCs to traverse the areas, though will not allow them to utilize weapons or vehicles against players, but will eventually move into the ships to allow them to properly navigate through and out of the ships or into them. In regard to the behavior of the FPS AI, work is in progress on improvements for this, and that will also address desync and several other AI issues in the FPS area. This includes multiple different factors, including server frame rate. We do find out that the AI reinforcement dropships currently cannot be boarded by players and stolen, but future changes will be based on the environment and scenario that they're coming into, though no real interaction is possible with these dropships right now. After this, we find that there will be no additional quanta elements with 3.17.2, but with salvage, the question was brought up whether the new derelicts will be salvageable when salvage is introduced. With this, we actually learned from Todd the different types of salvage items, including the areas such as the inhabited derelicts, will not be necessarily salvageable, but other derelict areas will be. Of course, a big question on the atmosphere of Crusader was also brought up in regard to the distance needed to quantum out. Though it will not be ready for 3.17.2, it is being looked at and may be adjusted, but no time frame as to when we may see this adjustment. Of course, we received a question about whether the Montreal Turbulence Studio was going to be the only one working on the PU during this extended time before 3.18. And Todd went through and clarified how teams were broken up, and that there are actually several studios working on the PU, and some are working on both PU and Squadron 42. Along with this, we also saw that inventory was touched on and that improvements are needed with stackables as well as multiple item transfer. Though no mention of when, as the team is currently working on Squadron 42, this is something that they are putting some attention to. They also touched base on the artifact and archaeology gameplay, which we saw a sample of this at CitizenCon last year, and Todd discussed the feel that they are going for with this, with the difference between the aged items that are worn as well as the ability to find pristine items. And he went a little bit into how that whole archaeology gameplay may work. We did also learn that the frequency of the new service beacons is all quantum based in 3.17.2 and is the determining factor of where and how frequently these are going to pop up. Along with this question, it was asked about the pop-up notifications and the ever-increasing number of them. Todd does state that he does want to see these become filterable so that players have some control over the types that they'll see and when, which I do agree this will be a very welcome addition. And of course, much like what was mentioned earlier, Todd does also address whether the length of time to 3.18 will there be support for hotfixes in 3.17.2. And as stated before, should an issue occur, the answer is yes. If a problem arises, that they will address it as needed. Of course, they were going through this, and in the midst of this, they found out that Star Citizen hit the 4 million account mark, which of course is a huge milestone for the game. After that, they discussed the Red Wind delivery missions and the fact that as a lawful player, you may not have as much access to the illegal missions, and that if you have an illegal status, you'll have more access to get these new missions. When asked about Talk Like a Pirate Day, they stated that nothing specific was announced, though through Spectrum we did discover that per Jake Acapella, the long-awaited Skull and Crossbones skin for the Loot and Scoop package will finally be available for all the Loot and Scoop package owners and their Cutlass Blacks. And that is about all the news for the week. I hope you found it useful, and don't forget to get your entries in for the giveaway this month, an Origin 325A, which will be awarded on August 1st. Just subscribe here and leave a comment on any video to be automatically entered, and you can get a second entry by following over on Twitch, where you can see the stream every Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday evening at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Thank you again for joining me, and everyone, please be safe out there, and we will catch you in the verse.